Okay, here we go. Something's loading. All right. So this meeting is taking place via Zoom US teleconference. In order to give a public comment or listen to the meeting, you can call 1-301-715-8592. The meeting ID is 871-2045-6991, and the password is 009355. You will not be able to enter the meeting until, well, you're good to go now. Once you enter, you will be placed on mute. So can we have a moment of silence followed by Pledge of Allegiance? We're actually the Pledge of Allegiance first, and then we'll do a brief moment of silence. Everybody to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. A brief moment of silence. Okay, thank you, folks. All right, so public comments. So our public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Please alert the staff that you'd like to make a public comment by pressing *9. And please keep in mind, if the item is not on the agenda this evening, you will have to, we'll be glad to take your comment, but we may have to address that item at a later date. And you can also wait until we get to topics on the agenda if that's what you'd like to have a comment about as well. So, and you'll comment then or make your you wish to comment by pushing *9 to raise your hand. So, Carrie, any comments?
None.
Okay, great. So our first item on the agenda then is the consent agenda, and this consists of the minutes from August 10th, 2020. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes and they're okay with that?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I will abstain.
Okay, so we got just Leo abstaining. What's my agenda now? Something's going on here with my computer. Okay, all right. So our first item of unfinished business is the strategic demolition. This is for the grant from Warfield and the change of scope request. So Joe, I guess I'm going to let you take this one, correct?
Yeah, and really for the purpose of tonight, again, we have been working with the developer to try to get some of the questions answered that were raised at the last council meeting. However, literally, I just got some of that information kind of as this meeting was kicking off. So because, again, I don't have anything specific from them, or at least haven't had a chance to read through anything that they've submitted yet, I would ask that this item just be deferred until our next meeting. As of course, I thought I saw Steve McLeaf jump on this call, but he might have jumped right back off, unless there was any kind of question or somebody wanted to ask directly to the developer. But again, I would just ask that a motion to defer until our next meeting.
Motion to table this agenda item.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so the item will be tabled, and we'll bring this up at the next Mayor and Town Council meeting, which, well, depending on when that will be, that was one of my comments that I wanted. Depending on what we have on the agenda, I'd like to maybe not be doing 2 of these meetings a month for the time being. I figured there'd be much opposition to that.
Only when the Steelers play on Monday.
Right. So, yeah, so but I guess if we have this item on the agenda, and if we have important items on the agenda, then we can certainly continue to hold the meeting. But so that being said, we'll go ahead and table it, and then it may be on the, 21 or 28, I'm sorry, on the 28th meeting. Okay, next item is new business, and this is to consider and discuss and act on the adopt a road request. So Joe, you want to take that too for me?
Sure. Yeah. So again, this was a request that I had actually received several months ago, and actually let the request sit just long enough for the country to go through a global pandemic. So recently, here in the last month or so, representative from St. Paul's United Methodist Church, who, as a matter of fact, I think is on the call with us today, asked that we grant permission for St. Paul's to actually adopt a portion of Obrecht Road here in town. Now, the town obviously does not have any kind of specific adopt a road policy or request form. So I kind of went through and picked and chose a few of these different policies that I've seen throughout the state and kind of put together a little bit of I guess a packet of information that would hopefully cover the town in case there was any kind of confusion or liability issue. So we did reach out to our insurance provider as well, who gave us a few pointers on exactly what needed to be included in that packet, mainly, training, some hold harmless agreement, and then also a request that any potential person who would be or group that was adopting a road in town would also add the town as an additional insured on their insurance policy. So I did include the original request that we had received from St. Paul's, and I believe Mr. Dave Lewis is also, again, on the call tonight in case there's any questions. But again, I put all this information together to hopefully make it kind of an easy request for the town, for town council to approve. But we are available for any questions or comments or any additions that might be needed to the information packet there.
Any questions on this item?
Yeah, I just want to jump in and say, am I off mute? Yes, I'd like to just jump in and say a few things with respect to, and I know these are just proposed guidelines that Joe dug up for us. And I'm not sure how many of the council are actually aware of the fact that Sykesville recently became an affiliate of a nationwide program called Keep America Beautiful. And the Downtown Sykesville Connection is spearheading this coalition, and it's in coordination, or I should say, in partnership with the town with respect to our Public Works Department, Parks and Rec, the committee with Parks and Rec, as well as a couple community, or I should say, citizens here in Sykesville will also be part of that board. Specifically with respect to the Downtown Sykesville Connection, it's the part of the Main Street Association five-prong approach is the Green Committee, which I'm sure you guys are all very well aware of. And the Green Committee will also be playing a great part in this coalition. And I just don't want to have a missed opportunity with respect to these guidelines for this Adopt a Road participation. I think there's an opportunity here for some training, or at least for our goals to be aligned. When I say our, I mean the Keep Sykesville Beautiful mission statement to be aligned with these guidelines for this Adopt a Road participation. And it would really just involve perhaps in these guidelines a couple more bullet points, or one bullet point with respect to the training that would be expected to be received by anyone or any organization who's planning to adopt a road here in Sykesville, with respect the training with respect to the Keep Sykesville Beautiful mission. And there'll be anytime we do litter collections with Parks and Rec, we're going to be keeping track of our before and after areas that we are actually doing litter pickup and doing some measuring, very basic measuring, if you will, of amount of litter that we've collected. So again, I'm just bringing this up because I'm not sure how many of the council members are actually aware that this that Sykesville actually is now an affiliate of the nationwide Keep America Beautiful program. And I actually invited Julie Della Maria to join the meeting if you guys had any more questions with respect to the program itself. It's a really broad overview I just gave you, but just something I thought was a good opportunity to let you guys know about and for us to include in these guidelines at some point.
And again, just to reiterate, even if the council does move forward with approving the request from St. Paul's tonight, obviously we can amend the guidelines to say and include whatever it is we need to have them include, at a later date.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think maybe we'll just add that in. I mean, how long is the training? I guess is my quick question. Is it just a brief?
Oh, yes. Yes, it's very, very brief. It's literally like we would grab one member of each maybe subcommittee or subgroup that would be doing the litter pickup, so that each person or each group has someone that knows the very few things that need to take place. It's mostly just pictures and a quick grading of how bad an area is based on some criteria that are very easy to understand. And you kind of grade the area before, and then you grade it when you're done. And it allows us to obviously get some tangibles, some data involved, and it also with respect to how much litter we're picking up and how much cleaner we're keeping our town.
No, I think that's a pretty good idea. And one of the things I would suggest too, Joe, is these come up. I know we've got some of these where the people are no longer here in town, like their Adopt a Road programs, Oklahoma Avenue, for instance. Those people don't even live here anymore. So it'd be good to get maybe an inventory of who's adopted each section, as part of this, just as part of this process, just to see,
Sure.
Are they currently doing the stuff? And then also find out if they are available for new people to come along and start adopting other sections, so.
Okay, we can certainly do that. And I do want to give Dave an opportunity if I know he took the time to join the meeting tonight. So I don't know if anybody has any questions for him, or if Dave, if you want to say anything about the request.
Yeah, just first of all, I just want to say that it's really nice to see so many familiar faces again. And I know an issue is about the insurance. Just so you guys know, St. Paul's Church, their insurance does cover off-site events such as our missions program with the youth groups. We've got an AA meeting that meets in the Cooper Park sometimes. But I'll certainly work with you guys and do whatever you need to do as far as taking pictures of the number of bags that I'm going to collect. Right now, there's really no training. I've already been trained by Carroll County, and unless we start using like students trying to get their hours and their community service hours, there won't be any real training necessary. But if we do bring them in, of course, they will be trained.
So Dave, what I was speaking to were the little bit of training that would be required, just so that whoever's doing the litter pickup is on the same page with respect to the the values and mission statement and so on and so forth of the actual Keep Sykesville Beautiful coalition. And it's just so that we can keep a handle on the amount of litter and so on and so forth. And there's an actual grading sheet that is specific to the program that we would distribute to whomever's doing the litter pickup.
I'm not familiar with the program that you're talking about, but I'll certainly get on the town website and look it over.
Well, no, Dave,
sure
I'm saying we would certainly take care of that with you. That's not your responsibility. It's our responsibility to make sure it's added to our list of guidelines for participation in our Adopt a Road program. So yeah, I'm sorry for the miscommunication.
No trouble at all.
Okay.
And like I say, I'll provide everything except for those two signs. I'll provide all the safety equipment, the bags, pickup devices, and once I'm done, I'll collect up all the bags and I'll take them, like I said, off-site and dispose of them legally. I'm a member of the Freedom Lodge of Masons up in Eldersburg, and I've got access to their dumpster, and it's no trouble whatsoever to drop the stuff off there.
Well, and we could take the trash too, so it's not a big deal to, if we need to get our public works guys to grab the trash, that we're okay with doing that. So we don't want you to be hauling trash all around.
I understand, Mr. Mayor. I'm just trying to put as little, burden on you guys as I can.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. So we definitely appreciate the interest. And I think in regards to the insurance issue, I think it's only because it's an organization probably, right, Joe? Like individuals have been doing these things and I don't think they have to have separate insurance, but I'm just wanted to clarify that. Is that true? It's just because when an organization does it that we require that.
Right, right. Again, it's just another protection for the town. That's all.
Yep. Okay. So, well, thanks, Dave. Yeah, and it's good to hear from you again. Hope all is
Yep.
well. Thanks for doing that. And then we can coordinate when we update these guidelines. I think, and because what we're trying to do is help. I think to get in compliance with this new program, right?
That's
what
correct. That's right, Ian. Yes, sir.
we're really looking for, so we can participate, keep track, and it helps us with that kind of stuff. So,
That's right.
yeah. So,
Very good.
all right, great.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yep. Thank you for wanting to do that. We sure appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, much.
So,
Hey, Joe, I got a question.
Sure.
Yeah, I might have missed it, but is there a requirement for the frequency of amount, like they have to go twice a year to clean up the trash, or is it just, did I miss it?
Yeah, I think the only thing we put, and I'm not sure it made it into the guidelines or not, but I think we asked for, twice a year minimum to
Okay.
do that. But, and if that's not spelled out specifically in the guidelines, we can add that.
I might have missed that, but I was just wondering. That sounds good.
I didn't see it either, Al. That's a good question. I had one.
Yeah.
I had the same question. I don't think it's there, Joe.
Okay.
If I could, that is put into the proposal, one in the spring, one in the fall.
Cool.
Yeah, well, thanks, and I do think we need to add that because that's a great point you brought up, Al. Because I think people get the sign and then I haven't seen them cleaning. so
And I don't know if this is something that we would put in the guidelines or if we would just leave this up to the training portion of what, a bullet point about training with respect to the Keep It Sykesville Beautiful program, that we'd want to somehow, if possible, maximize the amount of recycling versus everything going in the landfill if there's an opportunity to separate it.
I can certainly do that, yeah.
Cool.
And also, I stopped by the townhouse today and dropped off a packet with 7 of the proposals along with a proposed sign. So, that's there for you guys to look at later.
Cool. Thanks, Dave.
Yep. Thanks,
Sure
guys.
thing.
We appreciate it. We'll work with you on that.
Mm.
Okay. Any other questions on this topic, or are we ready for our next item? Okay, next item is this is to consider and discuss and act on the bond release for the Raincliff subdivision. And again, I guess, Joe, if you want to touch on this.
Well, real quick, just to go back, did we want to, approve the St.
Oh, yeah.
Paul's request, or did we want to just wait until we finalize the documents?
Oh, my apologies. No, I'm in favor of adopting it, but if there's everybody, I'll make a motion that we adopt the request or approve the request for St. Paul's to adopt a road.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Appreciate
No problem.
it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
So
I don't know if I heard it.
So the next item, this is for a bond release. This was an old holdover bond that had come about as a result of some of the trail that was supposed to go behind some of the homes on Raincliff when they did the subdivision, but the neighborhood community association subsequently decided they did not want the trail behind the townhomes. So this money sat for a long time as they tried to work through some way to put the trail somewhere else or to use the money for something else. And so, Joe, I'll let you take it from there. So.
No, that's pretty good. Really, this is a release request that we had received back in December. But again, when you kind of dig into the details of the Raincliff subdivision, you realize that there was one amenity that was still hanging out that was incomplete on that project. So again, we were holding this little over $34,000 for the purpose of this trail. And again, when you talk to the folks at the Raincliff development, of all the people that live there, they didn't necessarily want the trail built where it was being proposed, nor did they want any kind of replacement trail there. So in working with the developer did offer a payment in lieu of. So basically, you just donate X dollars to the Raincliff HOA so that they can use it for, whatever improvement they decide either now or in the future. So there was some back and forth, but I think at the end of the day, everybody kind of decided that the $10,000 was a reasonable amount of money to be paid. We did receive a letter from the Raincliff Homeowners Association that basically said that they would accept that $10,000 payment and release the developer from, or agree with the town to release the developer from holding this bond amount. So again, I think what I would ask is that the council approve the release request by Raincliff Properties LLC contingent upon the Raincliff HOA in actually receiving the $10,000 payment.
Okay, do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
But I have a question before we vote.
Yep.
Joe and I had a conversation to get a little bit more background information a couple
Mhm.
months ago. And then I had recalled throughout my conversation with Joe that there was a sinkhole issue that the developer was supposed to resolve before before I vote to release it. Just want to confirm that sinkhole issue was resolved.
Yeah, and I do now recall that conversation, but I don't remember seeing anything regarding a sinkhole. So I apologize. I didn't get clarification on that.
I do remember that though. So, and that was so you're talking a while back, if I'm correct, Anna, maybe about 3 years ago or so, right?
Yes, where there was a drainage problem.
Yeah. And that has been resolved. Yeah, that was subsequently resolved. Yeah, they had to replace a whole storm drain that was defective or something. Apparently, so that did get resolved. I do remember that getting resolved. So that has been addressed. Yes, that was a good question, but that was addressed a while back, and they did get that squared away. So that issue. Yep. So we're good on that. Yep. So, so we got a motion out, right? So
Second.
Jeremiah, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, Joe, thanks for working on this. This has been hanging around for a long time, so it's nice to kind of get this resolved for everybody.
Can I ask another? So I wanted to get past that particular motion, but a question. There's
Sure.
a budget meeting coming up in reference to Raincliff. If they wanted to use this funds for, let's say, and I don't know if they want to do this or not, but if they wanted to use the funds to help with like a sidewalk to get from Raincliff up to Freedom on one side or the other, is that possible or not? I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't really think there's going to be a limitation on what the money ultimately is used for, as long as the HOA makes the decision.
Okay. So if they want to pursue that, they can come to the town and we can work with the county and go down that path. I just I'm asking just in case. I don't know what's going to happen at the budget meeting or what ideas they have. I just know that's been something that they've been interested in for a while.
Sure,
Thanks.
sure.
Yeah, the one big challenge, I'll make you aware of that though, is keep in mind, we have not annexed that final parcel down. So that would be a county item. And then, of course, they don't own the property. So there would need to be some easement granted to get them out of, aside from where the sidewalk, I think, already goes, but.
Understood. It'd be a process for sure that we'd have to work on, but I wanted to just ask just in case that comes up. Thanks.
And I do understand that's been sold. Somebody told me that was sold, so I don't have it personally confirmed, but I heard they sold the parcel that was being
The industrial parcel, right?
Yeah.
They did.
Yep. Yeah. So that could, depending on what that turns into, may or may not work well with the sidewalk. Who knows? All right. Our next item is to consider and discuss and act on the license agreement for the electric vehicle charging stations. I'm super excited about this. It's a pretty standard. It's coming from so we worked with BG&E to get a couple sites approved. It doesn't cost us anything, and they're going to put them at the townhouse. And I'm trying to get them up by the gatehouse too. So, Joe, you want to share on this.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's very good. As a matter of fact, it's been somewhat of a Herculean effort working with BG&E, both the mayor and our circuit rider there, Jared Schumacher, trying to get all this squared away, get the design kind of worked through, and then the final step before BG&E can schedule installation is for this license agreement to be approved. So just to familiarize everybody with the location, it will be right here next to the townhouse. It's basically the first 3 spots here next to the building. We kind of picked those spots because there's an existing utility pole kind of right out there, and already a transformer sitting out there. So again, there is some equipment that goes along with the charging stations that, you know, we hope just kind of blends in with the other equipment that's out there, rather than spreading it out and making it, you know, even more unsightly. But again, there'll be three spaces that'll be taken up by the charging stations. One is a quick charge station, and then the other 2 are just kind of your standard electric vehicle charging stations. Again, first 3 spaces right here next to the townhouse, and the license agreement really just gives BG&E access to maintain these stations once they're in charge or installed.
So I'm super excited about because they were originally talking about 4. So we got them to do 3 because they wanted to have a minimum of 4, but then they put the high speed one in there. So you can get a full charge in 30 minutes on that thing, which is pretty cool. And then one of the other things I wanted to say about it. Oh God, it just slipped out of my head what I was thinking about. But anyway.
Can I jump in there then, Ian, and maybe it'll shake a tree? So
Oh, real quick.
go ahead.
Since those 3 spaces were up by the townhouse, I was worried about people visiting a townhouse. So one of the things they like, you have them only for electric vehicles, but I was thinking maybe we could tweak it and put them in there for like a 15-minute parking for non-charging vehicles. Like if you need a quick visit to the townhouse, you can pull in there, you know, versus if somebody's in the space for less than 15 minutes or something, we can let them park for. So that was it. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I was actually hoping when we first started talking about this, you and I, that we would get at least 2 superchargers or fast chargers. The level 2, I mean, I don't know how much the council is in tune with, or our listeners are in tune with the 2 versus the level 3. But I mean, from the perspective of you know, drawing EV drivers to town, driving to town and getting them to you know, patronize our businesses. I'm not sure how much. Well, I would assume that the level 3, the fast chargers, would be more indicative of that kind of an approach. If somebody needs to get their car charged and they're on the highway and they want to jump off and get a full charge to go onward, the level 2s, because, you know, depending on what you need, you could sit there for an hour and not come close to what you need to go to the next charging station. So I don't know if any kind of studies were done with respect to that, or any research, or if BG&E offered any kind of information with respect to how close the closest supercharger is, and, you know, does it make sense to have more than one of them be a supercharger?
Well, and I can tell you this, at least just in my evaluation of them, one of the reasons why we didn't want too many of the fast charge stations was more aesthetic than anything else, because they are much larger. But, you know, again, that was just my perspective on it. So again, if we want to try to change it, or maybe even at the other location, tweak that design a little bit. So maybe at the townhouse here, we leave it as is, but at the other site that we are looking at over there at Cooper Park, maybe put 2 of the fast charging stations.
Well, I mean, again, I think we need to give some thought to the location of our the second, or the proposed location at Cooper Park. I mean, I think it's a great idea to have a charger at Cooper Park, but I think if we want to take full advantage of what these EV chargers do for from an economic perspective, then we need to really have some information provided to us about that from BG&E, or from whomever we might be working with in the future for future locations and future stations. I mean, I understand this is something that BG&E is doing, and it's at no charge to the town, and I think it's fantastic. But I also know that, you know, we need to we need to seize, carpe diem. I mean, if there's an opportunity, whether it's a free or partially funded or a grant funded opportunity for an EV charger, it makes sense to put the right kind in the right place. And I wasn't part of this conversation at all, so I'm just bringing this up now. Are the level 2s and 3s? I'm pretty sure that they're all compatible with all EVs, and Teslas would have their adapter to put on their actual, they take it from their car and put it on the charging, whatever that's called. It looks like the gas pump. So any car can use them, is I guess what I'm getting at. I wanted everybody to know that on the call.
And one of the things, so one of the things was we wanted to get something started. One of the reasons I thought too, because keep in mind when we're thinking about the future development of Warfield, we were trying to kill two birds with one stone, get them spread out a little bit in town, plus get them where the infrastructure was for the power poles to make it feasible to install them. And then
Understood.
And keep in mind too, so that the 30 minutes a little bit more expensive too, and I think it's substantially more expensive for the fast charger. So one of our thoughts was it actually helps keep people stay in town a little bit if they bring their electric car and they're like, hey, let's go shopping down. We'll get a slow charge. We can pay less, go do some shopping, have some dinner. It kind of, it kind of encourages, if you're popping in for the 30-minute, they're just going to 30 charge and go, so we were hoping to get a little bit of balance. So if you need a fast charge, you can, and we will have two of those, one right at the gatehouse, and these things pop up on people's charging maps, right? So if you have an electric car, you get so these things will pop up on your radar. So I think it will help us bring people to town. And to your point though, I think later on we can bring in another one, maybe down like on the Mac lot or something as things warrant. I guess the hope is that these things are going to grow. But my point was taking advantage of the free opportunity now, and then also getting it close to where we can maybe charge police vehicles. Love that.
Did you hear that, Chief? All right.
I care about a police station. No. So stuff to think about, but or town vehicles for that matter. If we get one, it's right there at the townhouse. I was trying to get us to start and take advantage of the program while it was here. We can always expand on it later. And I do think if BG&E has the infrastructure and times change, we could probably get them to swap out, for the more modern, fast as time goes. I think they'll do that for us. They're going to figure out what makes money, and they're going to want to put that in there. So if there's more people using the fast charger, they'd probably be willing to work with us on that.
So these are not going to be metered for the user. They're going to be free of charge to the user, or they're going to be hooked up with a credit card reader and such.
Yeah, you got to pay. No, it's not.
Yeah, you got to pay. Yeah.
You got to pay. Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is that whether it's the fast charger or the slow charger, the user's paying. So they're going to pay more for the fast charge because it's more kilowatt hours used, over a shorter period of time. But so in any event, it's just, there's a lot more, I think, to this conversation than the license agreement. But I'm all for it. I've been wanting to have it, you and I've been talking about this for almost 2 years. I definitely, think this is great that BG&E is putting in some charging stations for us. And the infrastructure is already there and so on and so forth. But I just think there's more of an opportunity that we may be missing if we do this again without reviewing all of the nitty gritty.
I think if we do it again, we can certainly do like you said and get into a more in-depth. I was just trying to take advantage of this before this program goes away.
No, I hear you. That's what I'm saying. But for future, I don't think we should be even talking about Cooper Park right now and what we're putting there and we need to do some research.
And we might be able to add another one there. We got additional parking there. So I think, but I wanted to get the two while we can take advantage of them and get them spread out. But
yeah, I think it's great.
So one comment that I have is that we had talked a while ago now, and it might have been before you came on board, Joe, in reference to the sustainable communities within Maryland. With the LED replacement that we've done, with the streetlights, with this project that we just talked about, and then Stacy, the one that you talked about earlier with cleaning up, cleaning up the town. We have more than enough to to put in for an application for that. Is there any status on how we're doing with that? Is that something that we're pursuing at all? And if not, then it's, I'm going to be going to the next MML conference, and I'm more than happy to get whatever the new literature is to be able to share it with you, Joe. It just seems like we're doing all this activity. Why not get
Sure.
paid for it?
Yeah. And I guess I thought we were a sustainable community. Don't we get that
Yeah.
designation once a year?
Yeah, we
Really?
are. Yeah.
Maybe I
It's
missed
not-
it.
No, it's more than once a year. I thought that once we're designated, it's like every 2 years that we have to renew.
That sounds right, Anna.
We got a plaque downstairs that's got every year on there.
Okay, once a year.
What Jeremiah's referring to, though, I think is a different program, quite frankly, because I think you're talking about the one that's through MML.
I am. And I might have called it the wrong thing.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, it's called something. It's the green. It's an extra level of MML program. So that one we can look into, Jeremiah. I think that's what you're talking about, and it is an extra certification. And I do think it comes with some grant benefits as well as the sustainable community does. But we could check into that. I think that's what you're talking about, and I think that might be available through us. But we can reach out, and if we can reach out to MML. Because I forget the guy's name who runs it. It's right on the tip of my tongue. But
I'll look it up.
Yeah, check
And
on
I'll
that.
get the information to the whole council and then specifically to you, Joe.
Sounds good.
In reference to what I'm talking, because different cities are designated and we're not one of them.
Okay.
We weren't last year.
Well, yeah, and certainly any kind of designation, any state designation like that, even if it is through MML, I mean, it's worth us pursuing just for the simple fact that it's a program that's out there. And if we're going to do things that are that kind of fit in line with some of these programs, then, like you said, you're right to, for us to get the credit for it.
It's an environmental green committee, some sort of thing, but I can't remember the acronyms for it. But yeah, check on that, Jeremiah. And MML has the information for it, so we can get that.
Yep.
I was thinking that I was referring to the HEAL program.
Yeah, that.
Is that different than the sustainable community?
Yeah, that was
Well,
another.
yeah. And that one was temporary, I think, because I think the HEAL program ended
Yeah,
Gotcha.
earlier this year. Maybe kind of middle of pandemic. I think they ended that program.
Okay.
yeah, that was a good one. But then, like you said, I think it went away. So. Okay, all right. So we need to make a motion on this to approve this license agreement.
And this is just the one location. We can continue to work with BG&E on, potential expanded sites, be it at Cooper Park or somewhere else, and maybe even have more of the fast charging stations too.
I thought we were doing Cooper Park on this one too.
Now, again, we're still we need to have the design done on it before we approve the license agreement. So that was my fault that we were kind of delayed on that one. But again, I want to get this one done and in.
Okay, well, we'll do that. But to your point, Stacy, we'll talk to them, since that one we're not including that one. We'll talk to them and then see what other options we can get. And then-
Okay, I appreciate that. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of research that either BG&E can provide us or that we should take the initiative from a staff perspective to do. And I know Joe's hearing me, so that's fine. I've said enough.
Okay, all right, cool.
Can I just chime in?
Sure.
If we approve,
Uh-oh.
when will BG&E give us data on which charging stations are used more often, so we can use that as some type of information about the next one?
It certainly doesn't hurt to ask. Yeah, I think that would be, it's good information, especially if we're deciding on, what charging station to put in other locations throughout town. I'm only hesitating because I don't exactly know how much information they're willing to share, but it's certainly something we can ask.
Okay. All right, we'll check on it. We'll see what kind of info we can get, Anna, and then we'll bring that back to the council too.
So I just have one question too, Joe. I noticed in the document there that the BG&E does not set the requirements for the parking. Can we change the parking to, less than 30 minutes instead of 15 minutes? Is that all right with everybody? If you're a non-chargeable car?
So what, well, so I was gonna put like, yeah, 15 minutes, but you want to make it 30 minutes or less?
I'd like it to make 30 or less.
Is everybody, I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't think people are gonna,
I'm kind of worried about a couple of parking spots being gone, that's all.
right. Well, my goal was to keep it so people pop into the townhouse so you can still use those spaces. 'Cause
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe 30 minutes might be good. Maybe they got to talk to the police or something.
okay. All right, that sounds good. Is everybody okay with that?
Um,
30's too long.
Yeah,
There-
I like the 15 minutes.
I do too.
All right,
I
Ally.
mean, there's other spots there's other spots in that parking lot if you need to pop into the townhouse. And I think you're kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yeah, especially during the day when the townhouse is open.
Yes.
Okay,
And we'll keep an eye on it once it's there. And if there are any problems that develop, we'll certainly reevaluate.
And when you say we'll keep an eye on it, Joe, you mean
Town staff.
okay.
right. Okay, cool. All right, well, then let's stick with 15 if you're okay. We'll give it a shot and see how it works, but I think it does make a little more sense. You don't want people hanging out too long there.
I'm gonna go up there and park for 16 minutes as soon as it gets in.
Yeah, give you a ticket. Kilgore's going to be watching that. This is good stuff for him. He's going to be up. That's it. 17 minutes there, Mr. Grassley.
We'll add it to Craig's job duty since his office is right there by him. So.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so
Awesome. Can't wait.
I make a motion that we approve the license agreement for the electric vehicle charging station at the townhouse.
I just have one more question.
Sorry.
And it has to do
Kickoff
with
was
it has to do with
38
this-
minutes ago.
I know. Believe me, it's killing me. It's killing me. And then is there gonna be signage and then it's like a ticket enforceable thing by the police? Is that what we're getting at? I know we've kind of jumped around there, but that's what we're saying.
Now, in order for it to become an actual city offense, we would have to adopt an ordinance that specifically makes it that way. So right now,
Right.
it's really just a sign that says, "Don't do this."
Okay, so right now we're really just doing like a trial and see
Mhm.
what's gonna work out before we do anything further, which makes sense to me.
So there you go, Al. If you need to park there and you need 17 minutes, you won't. Try to be respectful of the electric car, folks.
You'll get a stern talking to. That's
Yes.
about it for now.
Sure. All right. Well, that's a good question, though. Lisa. Thanks for bringing that up. That is good.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, great. Thank you for doing that. I'm excited about it, getting started at least. I think it'll bring some new folks to town. Okay, so our announcements. Our next mayor and town council meeting is on Monday, September 28th. This too will be a Zoom meeting. We have volunteer opportunities still available on the HDC, Spark, the Police Auxiliary, and the Crossing Guard. Crossing Guard would probably be a good time to take that job because I don't know that you got to do a lot of. So,
Not a lot of crossings that need guarded right now.
yes, right. There's still time to respond to the 2020 United States Census. So if you haven't done that, please do so. It has been extended until September 30th. Carroll County, I'm very proud to say, has been at the top for response. So thank you. If you've already done it. If you haven't, please do it because it does affect the county and town for money. So the town of Sykesville is asking all community members to do their part and meet their goal of counting everyone once and only once in the right place. So please take a few minutes to complete the census questionnaire you received. You can also complete it online at 2020census.gov or by phone at 844-330-2020. And your personal information is legally protected and confidential. Next item is staff updates. So do you have any updates, Joe? Or?
Real quick before we get into the treasurer's report and public safety report, I know last month I updated y'all on some capital purchases and capital items. So one of the things that we were doing was in our capital budget, we do have the purchase of a new dump truck for Public Works. We had a dollar amount, I believe it was $68,000 kind of earmarked for that. When we actually went to go make the purchase, some of the pricing had increased. And what we decided to do was, instead of coming and asking for funding or additional funding, we were going to try to bid the vehicle ourselves and see if we couldn't draw that price down a little bit. So we did do that. We advertised. Today was actually our bid opening, and unfortunately, it didn't work out the way we had hoped, and it was still about $12,000 higher than what we had put in the capital budget. So basically, I'm telling you this to warn you that at our next meeting, we will have a request to still purchase the dump truck this fiscal year, but we would have to increase funding. And I'll make sure I have all the details as to what account and where it's all coming from, and potentially some other projects that we might be able to push out to kind of offset that increase. And then the other item would be we're still having some issues with some of our old cameras in our police vehicles. So the software that they're using is not necessarily compatible, or it's so old that we're having trouble actually downloading some of the video from some of those. So before that becomes a critical request, this was something that is already in our capital budget, but it's kind of spread out over the next couple fiscal years. So we are going to be asking to accelerate the purchase of those cameras. So again, just kind of a warning. That's at our next meeting. Those will be 2 capital updates that will be coming your way. And then that's all I have.
So real quick, Joe, is the state bid then cheaper than the bid? So are we going back to the original state bid on the truck?
Yeah, it's basically the same. Yeah.
No. So
So
should
what?
we do the state bid then?
Right. And I think actually the people that submitted the low bid for well, to be honest, we only received 1 bid, and I think it was the state. So,
Okay,
or the approved state bid.
gotcha.
Sorry, distracted.
And then, okay. Any other questions on these 2 items or anything for Joe coming up? Okay, so next item is our treasurer's report. Craig, you're up.
Hi, Mayor. Hi, Town Council. I'll try to keep this brief since something's going on TV-wise, so it won't be too long. This time, I'd like to present the August Treasurer's Report. Hope everyone had a chance to peruse it and look at it. I had some questions from Al and Anna that I was able to answer. We're a little behind right now by about 84,000, which, given the time of the year, that's not really that unexpected. Some of the revenues just kind of start really filtering in November, December, January. So we're not quite there. We did get probably the remaining piece of the income tax state just received it the other day, but unfortunately the auditors say this is a fiscal year 1920 receipt. So I had to put it in that year. That's why there's still 0 for income tax state right now. The next shot will probably be around November that we'll get a check from Maryland. So hopefully that'll start catches up, as well as we have started spending some money talking about capital projects. We've already definitely kind of ahead of that schedule, I think, too. So to be only 84 down is probably pretty good. So I'm happy with that. In terms of expenditures in general, I don't think there's anything extraordinary that happened. Other maybe we had to buy some laptops. The police department had to purchase some laptops that we might quite expected in the budget wise, which we'll have to renew when we do the next budget update. We'll have to incorporate that as well. That's about it this time. I don't know if anybody has any general questions for me.
Any questions for Craig? Okay.
Motion to approve the August 2020 budget treasurer's report. I'm sorry.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so the budget is approved for.
Thanks, Craig.
Treasurer's report.
No problem. Thanks.
The Maryland did get some good news on their budget stuff, so they were very worried about COVID-19 blowing a big hole in the budget, and they actually came out with a surplus of some money. So that's good. I mean, it trickles down, so it's not huge, but it's rather than being $1 billion short, they had a $585 million surplus, which is pretty good. So anyway, knock on wood. We're not out of the woods yet, but it's a good thing. And then I think it bodes well for our future revenue to be as stable as well, at least for the foreseeable future if COVID-19 winds down sooner than later.
Yeah, we're certainly trending in the right direction from at least a historical perspective from where we typically are this time of year for our budgets. We're still in good shape.
Yep. So, and thanks, Craig. Yep. Okay. So next item. Back up here. Public safety report.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Chief.
Have a lot to cover here, and I will try to be brief. Public safety period is from August 4th to September 4th. And as you can see, we had a lot of calls for service, 873 total to be exact. That included 19 assist other agency, only 4 community policing events, 43 foot patrol. I'm glad to see they're continuing to increase, as well as 600 patrol checks. That's a very large number. 65 traffic enforcement initiatives. I'm glad to see that number is increasing as well. Again, a total of 873 events for the 1 month period. You'll see on pages 2 and 3, we had a lot of incident reports during this past month, 29 to be exact. That's a very high number of reports that our officers have written during a 1 month period. And I would entertain any questions you may have about any of those reports.
I had a general question, Chief. I keep reading about how more and more people are suffering emotional issues. Has your men noticed a COVID / stay at home / the kids are driving me crazy / I'm going to do something I would normally never do except during a pandemic, or are we okay?
I don't think any more than normal. I mean, we just in the regular course of our duties, we encounter a lot of people with various issues, and thankfully many of our officers are trained to recognize those issues. And of course, with the county now having this CIT and the behavioral health units, we have resources at our disposal to refer people to and get them some help. So in answer to your question, no, I wouldn't say any more so than normal.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And just one quick question, Chief, on the graffiti. I mean, are we making any progress on getting the cameras? Getting any?
Yes, I will tell you, for sake of this presentation, that we do have surveillance in place at strategic locations. I'll leave it at that, and hopefully that will enable us to either deter or eventually catch those persons responsible for some of this graffiti. But during the past couple of weeks, to be very honest with you, it's kind of died down a little bit. So for a while there, it seemed like we were getting hit with a lot of it. There was a lot of similarities, so I think it's only 1 or 2 groups doing this, and I believe it to be juveniles that are committing these sort of crimes. But to date, we haven't had any breaks in any of the cases and been able to identify anyone. But that's not due to a lack of effort on our officers' part. You'll see in some of these incident reports where we've caught people at Warfield, caught them at Cooper Park after hours, and we're certainly looking for those indicators that they were there up to no good with spray paint cans and backpacks and things of that nature, and we just haven't caught anybody recently doing that. So our officers are doing a great job proactively trying to find these people, but it just hasn't happened here recently.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks. No, I appreciate it.
Of course.
Get that under control is most appreciated. Any
Sure.
other questions for the Chief?
Yeah, Mayor did want to mention real briefly that you're all aware that our former Chief Wallace Mitchell passed on September 1st. I wanted to thank you and then the town manager in the town for allowing myself and Sergeant Kilgore and PFC Betcher to travel down to Princess Anne to attend that funeral service. It meant an awful lot to the family, to his widow, and to 3 members of his family who are actually active police officers in another jurisdiction. So it meant a lot to them, and it was nice that we were represented there, along with his other department, which was Laurel Police Department. So it was very nice that we had people there to pay our respects.
Yeah, and thank you, Chief, for doing that, and thanks for making a nice presentation. I think you did the box with the patches.
Yeah.
Thank you. that was really nice and thoughtful. So we appreciate you guys coming in and representing us.
Of course. And I did want to mention, particularly for Jeremiah's sake, I know he's the liaison to the Raincliff HOA. You may or not be aware that we've had a number of fireworks complaints emanating from Raincliff, actually going back to the beginning of the year. I went back and did some research, and there was probably 7 calls for service where we had responded to the Raincliff area for illegal fireworks. I'm happy to report that we've identified a particular resident over there. Quite honestly, caught him in the act this past weekend, setting off illegal fireworks. And PFC Betcher did a fantastic job. We will be placing charges against that individual. And again, I believe that he was responsible for quite a few of the complaints that we've gotten in that neighborhood over the past year, if not longer. So for Jeremiah's sake, I've had conversations with the HOA president there. And so he's aware of our actions, and I wanted to make Jeremiah aware as well. And if he has any further questions about that, I would ask that he give me a call and we can discuss it in private.
Chief, is that known to be a juvenile?
In this particular case, it was an adult.
Okay. Thank you. I have a question. Are you aware of, is the department aware of the reappearance of the graffiti on the gas station on Central Avenue?
Yes, that was one of the reported cases. Yeah.
Okay.
We've actually spoken to the owner there who agreed to cover it up. And I don't believe he's done so yet, the last time I checked, but he agreed to repaint over it with the white paint as he had done previously. But to my knowledge, he hasn't done so yet.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And one quick thing that's come up as and it just reminded me on the report, was the barriers. So me and Joe have been talking about the barriers on Main Street and possibly removing some of those barriers. At least I think Joe reached out to most of the businesses, and Norwood Ice Cream is the one who said they are still kind of benefiting from them. But I didn't know if you wanted to touch on that a little bit, Joe. But I think maybe I was suggesting we remove the one set. Up by the bakery and the tavern, and then leave the one set by the ice cream, and then phase it out. But you want to share on that, Joe? And
yeah, no, actually, you pretty much covered it when I reached out to at least a few of the businesses. I know Al has. I don't know if anybody else has gotten any significant feedback from any of the merchants downtown. I've talked to Julie a little bit about it, at least from a DSC perspective. And again, I think everybody's appreciative that the town, did something to try to support the businesses or allow for a little bit of expanded seating outdoors. I just don't know. What I don't want to do is for them to be there so long that people find them more of a nuisance than a benefit. And again, most of the responses that we've been getting have been, people would rather have the parking back. So again, I do want to ask council for a little bit of feedback here to figure out whether or not time is, I guess the time for the additional outdoor seating is maybe passed, or if we wanted to go ahead and leave them up for a little bit longer. And then maybe wait for the weather to turn. But again, I wanted to get at least a little bit of feedback from you all to see what you're hearing or maybe not hearing.
and
Joe, can you clarify? You said your feedback you're getting is that they'd rather have the parking back. When you say they, are you referring to the merchants?
Most of the merchants.
And my thought was just to wait until the end of September. I mean, because we've already into this month. I think we pay for a monthly. So I was going to suggest getting half of them for October, and then maybe leave the other half through October, because they're going to have to come out probably when it starts getting cold anyway. Once we hit November, I don't think people are going to be eating too much ice cream outside, but just a thought.
So anyway, and again, I know it's that's kind of a request, hitting everybody blind tonight. So again, just kind of keep your ear out, and if you do hear any feedback or anything different from what I said, please let me know, because again, like I said, when I've talked to most of the merchants that are directly affected by them, most of them are wanting parking back rather than leaving the barriers up. But again, I don't want to say that that's a wide net, across town. It's simply, just a few merchants that are directly affected by where those barriers are.
Is there any way that we can ask for this to be an agenda item on the next merchant meeting? And then just get, maybe a poll from them, or ask the DSC to reach out and see if they have any feedback as well. That way we actually have more than a few people coming to you, Joe.
Yeah.
that are there.
So, yeah, Jeremiah, I reached out to the merchants that are benefiting the most from the seating, but those merchants usually do not show up for the Friday meeting. And the feedback was kind of what Joe said.
Got it.
So, I mean, Julie, yeah, if he's been talking to Julie too, that might be better too. But that was basically the feedback we got back from it. I reached out via email about it.
I'll try to have an update for the next meeting.
Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to throw it out there. Yeah, because we got time between now and the next meeting on the 28th to maybe make
Right.
that. In worst case scenario, we leave them a little longer, but yeah, see what info you can get. I was just thinking maybe we gradually take it away instead of taking them all out at one time. Maybe we take one section out, and then that way there's still some left if people want to use it, and they can use it a couple more of the fall months, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
I'll try to get it on the merchant meeting too. Maybe they'll show up. Maybe they'll give some feedback.
Yeah, that would be great. All the input we can get on it, because we don't, like I said, if we think they're getting maximum use, we want to leave them. But if they're not, or we're going to start, we could save money because they're kind of pricey too to have them out there. I can't remember what was the total cost, Joe? Monthly?
It's about $1,200 a month. But again, this is funding that we did receive through the COVID relief fund. The partnership with the county, and then of course federal dollars that kind of filtered down our way. So, there's still several months that we could leave them out there, but we want to do things that are benefiting the merchants. And if these are not benefiting them anymore, maybe we can shift the funding to something else. So
Right. Even if like curbside pickup is, the bread and
Right.
butter at this point for one merchant, but outdoor seating is better for another, having more parking for one and more outdoor seating for the other. So I
Absolutely.
think we need to be
Yeah.
strategic about that. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole goal, is to put the resources where they want them most and where they can benefit the most. So we'll just have the discussion at least. Okay, so council committee reports. We'll run down. I guess you want to start with you, Jeremiah Raincliffe.
Sure, that's fine. So there was no meetings in between the last council meeting and now. The next one is on October 5th, as I mentioned before, and that's their annual budget meeting. So I'll provide a report out after that occurs. Not related to Raincliffe. I applied and then was granted to be able to be a part of the MML Legislative Committee this year again. So I was very honored to be able to have that opportunity. We did in the last meeting. There's been two meetings that's occurred since the last council meeting. In the last meeting, there was a decision to move forward with one priority initiative. It's the same initiative that was one of them from last year, with the restoration of the highway user revenues. And there's going to be two items that we look at as initiatives. So if something's a priority, that means that MML will work on actually getting legislation written for it. So that's going to be what's used with the highway user revenues. And then the initiatives are just things that the league will pay close attention to. One was in reference to climate change. So any bills that come in on climate change, the league will take special notice to those. And then the other one is in reference to local assets and authorities preservation. So you remember the 5G issues that came up previously. So this has to do with that. And it also has to do with some other public utility right-of-way related issues, and making sure that the municipalities maintain a voice in those discussions. Joe, I did want to mention to you that it does not appear that any bill will be going forward for 5G this year. I know prior to COVID, we were working on an ordinance for how we want to treat 5G, and you had provided some things to council. It seems as though that now or soon is a good time for us to kind of complete that action. So I just want to bring it back on your radar screen. That was all that I had.
Pretty sure I heard we passed that ordinance.
Did we pass it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was
good.
a lot of discussion behind it, but I think we wanted to get something in place just in case there was potentially legislation that was going to go forward. So this, I guess, gives us time to make sure that whatever we do have on the books is still, well, we're happy with it.
Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed with them. So thanks.
Good.
Yeah, I forgot that we passed that too, because me and Jeremiah had this discussion. And just to update you, I know Jeremiah had some school board issues that come up. So he had expressed an interest of maybe meeting or being a liaison to the school board for the town, for the Carroll County board. But I suggested maybe we do it for the whole county. So I'm going to talk to our local chapter and see if that's something they would be supportive of. So just to put that guy on your guys' radar. I think it'd be a good thing to have some continuity between the school board, because we haven't really, although it doesn't, we don't really have input since it's a county issue. It does affect us here in the town. So it would be good to know the information that's coming. So he's willing to serve. So thanks, Jeremiah. I'll get you more info on that. Okay, Planning Commission. Any update, Mark?
Yes, it turns out we had a meeting, met on the 8th. There is a parcel of land off Schoolhouse Road that a proposal has come in. It would eventually require annexation of some property that's Carroll County, but not yet in our town. There are some issues, and our very excellent Planning Commission focused on them, because things like use of an in-common road to another in-common road. There are concerns about elevation, and frankly, it might be too narrow, but it's within spec, and a whole lot of other questions. But they were given permission to go ahead. But I'm stated the obvious just so it was said, so no one can say it was not. That all these questions are going to need to be answered fully before we start doing any annexation decisions, because there is so many if and then and if and thens going on here with this. Speaking of which, we had a county update, and Matt Faras said, yes, we had a meeting on the 2nd of the residential code, and the results will be published, which brings up a very interesting article that occurred in the Carroll County Times, and I quote, nearly 24 residents hammered county officials with questions and complaints. So this is a lesson I'm taking to heart with our updating our master plan. In this time of COVID, we're going to have a hard time getting out to people. It's going to have to be done remotely. We're going to have to do an especially good job of alerting people what's going on, so they don't feel that we were keeping this quiet. Next is the fact that agricultural and industrial codes will be updated by the county next, and this can all be found on the carrollrezoning.org website. They also did want to be sure that our planning commission documents were certified correct before they take them over. And lastly, the comprehensive plan update, and I'm sure Joe will have more to say on this, but our last meeting was August 17th, and there have been 2 since our last time we had a planning commission meeting, but we're going ahead, and there's another one coming up this Thursday. And again, the use of a survey will have to suffice instead of public events. But I think it's going reasonably well. I do listen in, even though I'm not a full participant, because this is the people, and it's good. But I think we're making good progress. And I defer to Joe if he has any extra comments.
Yeah, so again, just on the comp plan update, we do have a meeting this Thursday. I will make sure I forward the agenda out to council in case anybody does want to listen in. On the agenda will be kind of a brief update on all of the stakeholder interviews, including all the input that council gave. Again, we're not telling everybody specifically what each individual member said, so I want everybody to make sure you're protected there. But again, we want to get some of the advisory committee feedback on what we heard from those stakeholder interviews, including council. So we've been kind of wrestling with this the entire time of doing this comp plan update, is how best do we do we solicit additional public input, in an age where, people are basically saying you don't want to gather. So typically in these situations, you would have some public meeting and you would get as many people together as you could, and you would have little stations set up, and you would have professionals at each of these stations to gather input, be it Parks and Rec or public safety or roads or whatever these the different components of the comp plan. And we simply don't have a good way to do that now. So we've been trying to push, or we've been trying to do as much as we can online, with the hopes that as time went on, restrictions would relax. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that even if restrictions get relaxed, people are going to be comfortable participating in that way. So the first thing that we're going to try to do is just do an online community survey, and we'll push that out. It looks like hopefully closer to the end of this month. And then we are going to do this urban design workshop, which again will be virtual, in October. And then one of the things that we're trying to do is set up what's called a virtual town hall, where it'll allow people to be able to come online and any time of the day be able to kind of see the different aspects of the plan as it's coming together and leave comments specifically on these types of things. So we're still working through the details of it. And we're hoping that that we're able to get something like that done certainly before the holidays start to hit. Because then once you start getting into late November, into December, people really start focusing on more of the holiday than updating the town on the direction we want to go over the next decade. So we're looking to push that out relatively quickly, and again hope that we can continue to gain public feedback as we're in the drafting phase. Now, when we start to get the draft put together, there will obviously be the draft itself will be shared with the public, and there'll be public hearings in front of the council. But again, I'm a big believer in most people want to provide input before the document is written, not after, because then they feel like it's already kind of done, and their input might not necessarily get listened to. So again, that's what we're working on, and that's what we'll be talking about with the advisory committee on Thursday.
Hey, all right. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that for all that update. I think Stacy, you're next. How about Parks and Rec?
Okay, cool. Thank you. So our annual cleanup day, as most are probably aware, was a complete and utter washout. So we are about to set a rain date, and we're hoping to make this up. I would like to see it happen this coming Saturday. The Spark has not officially agreed to or voted to reschedule for this Saturday, but this Saturday happens to actually be in alignment with the National Cleanup Day. It's basically cleanup month is September, but September 19th is National Cleanup Day. So I'm anxious to get this scheduled for this Saturday, even though it's going to be relatively last minute. I feel like if people are wanting to get involved, they can do that with a couple days notice. And so that's what I'm hoping for. We can actually take advantage of the Keep Sykesville Beautiful's affiliate sponsorship through the nationwide Keep America Beautiful, who works closely with this National Cleanup Day. So we can get the word out and also get some good PR. So that's that for the cleanup day. I have a couple requests. I should say several. Can anybody tell me when the skate park will be reopening to skaters, despite the fact that our South Branch Park infrastructure has not yet been completed?
So I'll share on that. So I think we should open it effective immediately.
I do as well.
All right. So maybe we pick a date though. We keep hoping they were going to get the paving in, but I think
I know.
I'm with you. I mean, Joe, I'll let you share on it, but what do you think's the quickest we can get that open? Because I think the time has come. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, and again, we did reach out to the contractors in Howard County down there to figure out if we could safely open the skate park while construction is still going on. And they did push back on that, just basically saying that they didn't feel like there was a good route for people to get around and get to the skate park from the parking area. Now, people have been sneaking into the skate park the whole time, but sneaking into it is one thing, but providing a safe route from the parking across the street over to the skate park is another. So again, they did ask us to wait until construction was done. And again, the last update I had was, it's kind of a joke that you say 2 weeks, but they were getting pretty close. At least last time I drove down there to installing the pavers and getting the paving done. So what I would ask is, if we don't see significant progress to be able to open it in that 2-week time frame that they basically told us, is maybe I'll renew my request to them to figure out a way to get that skate park open so that people can actually start enjoying it again. We've gotten several phone calls too. Believe me, I know staff is tired of hearing from angry skaters. I'd love to open it tomorrow, but again, it's also.
Can I propose somewhere in between what you said and what I want, which
Sure.
would be
we love
that
compromise.
that maybe in a week's time, if it looks like they're not going to be done in a week, that's when they provide us with the alternative to a safe entry and exit to the skate park.
Yeah, that's basically what I said. It's basically if they're not moving this week,
Okay.
like if we get to the end of this week and there doesn't seem to be any additional progress from the last time we had an update down there, maybe we just go rogue.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Why don't we plan on doing this? Why don't we plan on October 1st opening the skate park and just let them know? I mean, I understand they had some rain and all, but they're way behind on this thing. And so can we just plan on that and then tell them, look, we're opening the skate park October 1st. So, I mean, it seems to me like they're working on some other jobs or something, and they do a little bit here and then they disappear, and they do a little bit here and they disappear. Doesn't seem like the focus has been to finish. And maybe if we put a deadline on them, they'll make sure it gets done by 10/1, so that should be, it's like 3 weeks. I mean, they should have enough time to get that done. So let's just shoot for that. And then if,
we'll give it a shot.
Yeah. All right. I think it's a good idea. And then tell them, say, hey, we need this done by 10/1. We're opening the skate park. Cause I think Derek needs time to get that temporary fencing and all moved out, right? Do you need some sort of schedule for that? I don't know.
Any of the additional fencing that the town was providing down there, I think we just took away. So
the fencing is all the contractors' fencing right now.
Now the only thing that's left down there is theirs.
So how are we going to move that? Are we going to tell them to move it, right?
We have equipment. We can.
Well, I mean, not for nothing, but they're walking on the sidewalks all day. Like, so when they're down there. So
one of the biggest issues is during the day, there's no place to park. You move the fence, you're going to have to open. Are you going to open the playground as well and the pavilion?
No, I think it's pedestrian entry only, and it's very clearly marked how to get from point A, which is the entrance, to point B, which is the skate park.
All I'm saying, across the street, there's no parking because the contractors are parking there too. So during the day.
Gotcha. But isn't there room for them to park in that open area further up the road on the left?
In the grass, you mean?
Yeah, it's not a designated parking area, but it's where a lot of the utility vehicles park when there is some work being done right there on River Road, like right before River Road's entrance.
There's a pull out straight across from Forsyth.
Yes.
I can't imagine them not being done this by 10/1. I really can't. So that's why I think putting that on them to. I mean, I know, yeah.
We'll work on it.
Look, I hear people saying, really,
but believe me, we have motivation to try to push this as quickly as possible. So
they need to get the blacktop down and all the other stuff. So yeah, so I'm just saying we need to put that out there. So try that, Joe. Tell them 10/1 and see if you can get them to commit to that.
Okay.
Try that first, and then worst case scenario, we have to figure out a plan B to get a path through there. We'll figure it out.
We'll get them
All right, so the only
woods
thing
one
left
way
for
or
me
another.
for Spark is the 24th is the fourth Thursday. As per our usual, we will be meeting then. It'll be Zoom, I assume. Jana, can you jump in here? Are we still doing 6, or is that, I shouldn't say still.
Yeah.
Is that something we're
6.
planning on doing? Is a 6 o'clock Zoom?
Yes. And
Thank
the other
you.
update would be that they canceled the concert for this Saturday.
That's right. Yeah, Joey D cares is they're rehearsing, but they're not comfortable to perform yet. So we will not be having that this Saturday. Thank you, Jana.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then Anna, Historic District Commission.
Yes, we had a meeting on August the 25th. We had 2 applications. The first application was for the house, 7323 Springfield Avenue. It was the auction house, the yellow one that was in total disrepair. We met the owner's son, who is actually going to be living in it. He had requested a couple different alterations to the house, removing the side steps that went into an apartment on the 2nd floor that was not original. We approved for the removal of that. He also requested new window replacements and new downspouts. We approved the downspouts, but the window options that he had provided did not meet the guidelines. So we had a special meeting to review alternate window options, and those still did not meet the guidelines. So we gave him the manufacturers that meet the guidelines, and we're waiting for him to submit his other choice. And hopefully the third go round will be the correct one.
And
yes.
And no talk about a roof?
No, he said that the roof is in good condition, that they don't plan on replacing the roof. He did ask, thank you for bringing that up. He did ask for a additional smokestack that was an add-on, not an original. It went to the boiler downstairs in the basement, and he's asking because that boiler doesn't work and the smokestack isn't seen from the roadside. He asked if he could remove it, and the committee agreed to that because it wasn't original to the house, and nor is it visible from the street. We did also advise him of our guidelines for any type of exterior alterations, like to the porch, to trees. He can trim back the bushes, but obviously large trees have to come in front of us. He does not have plans to re-side the house. He does want to repaint the siding.
Good for him.
And Carrie, I think that was all that was part of that application.
Yes, and he did submit new windows, so there will be a meeting this month, the end of this month for them.
Okay, thank you. And then the second application was for 706 Church Street. The applicant wanted to replace the tin roof with a new tin roof as per the application, but once they came in front of us, they said that the prices that they got to replace the tin roof was pretty extensive, that they wanted to have an alternate about the architectural asphalt shingles. And then they came back to us and they said, oh, wait, there could be a company that will just tin right over the existing asphalt shingles. So I don't know exactly what they're going to be doing, but they do have approval to replace the roof with either tin or architectural shingles. And then they are requesting to replace the siding with moon-shaped, not siding, downspout with moon-shaped downspouts. And that was it.
Okay, thank you.
Good work, Anna.
Yeah, good job. So, and then I think the repairs at the gatehouse been completed, haven't they, Joe? I don't know. Is everything's done at the gatehouse?
Everything done, but obviously the kitchen is still all torn up because we have not finished that one yet. We are getting quotes on the kitchen replacements, but all the structural work and I know we replaced the boiler over there too just recently, and like all the siding had been replaced properly, windows, everything like that was previously approved.
I know. So I got to talk to him some more. Not much is going on at the schoolhouse, obviously, with things that are going on, but I've been a terrible liaison lately. I need to reach out to my folks. I'll be honest with you. I've been super busy, and I need to reach out to them and get something for you. So I promise I will do that between now and next meeting. All right.
Let me jump in, Mr. Mayor, since I think you forgot me.
No, I didn't. I was coming back. That's next.
The merchant meeting. We had a merchant meeting August 28th. Julie Del Maria gave a presentation on the Carroll County Breast Cancer Pink Fling that'll be going on in October. They talked about the October First Friday, which is a ladies' night, and some other events going on in October to deal with the breast cancer thing, to coincide with the county breast cancer fling. And then they mostly talked about the first Friday, which was September 5th, which was superhero night with all the kids walking around in superhero costumes. I think that went well. The next meeting is September 25th, and we're having a Zoom meeting with the commissioner on September 30th.
All right, thanks, Al. Yeah, and we're gonna follow up on some of their funding with whatever's left and see what's happening. I think, and that was the plan on the 30th to try to find something out on that. All right, so
Mayor, I have a question.
yes, sir, Mark.
The phrase superhero made me think, as we get close to Halloween, I know that some jurisdictions are actually starting to address the issue and are already saying to the kids, not going to happen. We ought to be putting that on our what to think about coming up, because I don't see a vaccine being available until January at the earliest. But I mean, if it happens tomorrow, yay, but I don't see it. We ought to be thinking about that, because I know it disappoint the kids, but their safety is more important than a handful of candy.
So we've been thinking about that a little bit, and I think what we were talking about is maybe just sort of letting people participate if they want. If they don't. I mean, we just floated that out there. Like, we didn't make a decision on anything yet. I mean, if your kids want to go, maybe just let them go. If people in the neighborhood want to participate, to turn the light on. If not, they don't. We understand it's a challenging time, but I think there's different folks that feel different about each thing. So I don't know, but something to think about. Yeah.
Well, again, I just want to say, and we are looking at that again. You know, there's plenty of message boards out there that can help provide some guidance on best practices for potential trick or treating, but there haven't been firm decisions made one way or another exactly how we're going to handle that. I think people are kind of waiting at least till we get into October before they plant a flag one way or another. So again, we are looking at it. It's not something that we're going to be caught off guard with, but you know, again, as soon as there are best practices potentially that are published, we'll make sure that we take a look at them and either put them on our website or bring them to the council to make a determination if we want to do something where it's simply, here are the best practices for it, or if we wanted to say, no, you shouldn't do this. So stay tuned, and again, it is something we are working on.
So Mark, I appreciate you bringing up the issue a lot, actually, because honestly, I hadn't really thought about it that much. Joe, is it possible that we could reach out and benchmark with the other municipalities within the county?
Sure.
You might already be doing that. If you are, thank you. But if that's something we could do as well, that might help us with figuring out what we'd want to do.
Yes,
absolutely. I don't want to cancel it. Let the kids go.
Well, and again, that's kind of why we're waiting and looking for best practices, because we know there's going to be a lot of different opinions out there, and we want to make sure that whatever we do has been kind of vetted throughout the community a little bit, and not just our community too, but it's like, you know, around the country, and it's like, how are people going to handle this? You know, we don't necessarily want to blaze new ground here, but again, we are working on it. We'll try to make sure we have some information sooner rather than later, because I know October 31st will be here before you know it.
Yeah, and I'm meeting Wednesday with the other mayors, so when we do that, I'll talk to them and just get a feel for what their thoughts are now, and bring that back with you too, just so we have as much info. I'm sure we'll come up with something that sort of fits our community once we get through all this. But yeah, we're gathering it. But
I think we want to be the only one to not, or the only one to. We want to be in the middle of the pack when the wolves attack.
There you go. Right. Safe.
Be on the fringes. You get taken down first, right? That's terrible.
Well, and you know, as you think about things getting better in the state, we should be pretty proud as a state of the progress we've made in keeping our rates low. So, you know, that being said, the percentage makes it a little bit safer, but we still want to be 100% safe for the kids. So we'll get all of the information we can, and then we can make a decision as a group, figure out what's the best way to go. All right. Any public comments, Carrie? Anything pop up since we've been on here? Or is there anything else? Because I think I'm at the end of the list here, right? Did I miss anything? Are we all good? All right. Okay, so with that all being said, we don't have anything on our executive session, so.
What about Leo's report?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
He's trying to unmute. I saw him reaching and mute.
I won't be ignored, Ian.
Yeah, I missed somebody. All right, go ahead, Leo.
That's okay. Just a couple things. Farmers market's doing well. Mayor and town council and staff are soon going to receive an invitation for a survey that is the initial step of the DSC branding project that we were awarded funds for by the Department of Housing and Community Development. So if you get an email for a survey, please make sure you respond to that. It has to do with funds that we were awarded by the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. Julie is working on fundraising soon for the annual 2020 Happy-thon for Christmas. Derek Shreves has recently redeemed a $1,000 still gift certificate that was one of the rewards we received as the best Main Street in America award. So he was able.
And there's a great picture on Facebook of that. So.
Yep, very cool.
Nice one, Derek.
Yep. Let's see. DSC has added 3 events to sort of try to keep people interested and doing things. One of them in lieu of the coolest mile and in lieu of trick or treat on Main Street this year, since we're not going to be able to do all that, is a Sykesville pup walk. That is a dressed up mile-long walk throughout the day in waves of 20 people spread out as a way to bring people down to Main Street, but to avoid large gatherings. There's also going to be a Best Battle of the Bands fundraiser that's going to be partnership with the Community Media Center over a 6-week period. And finally, there's going to be a fundraiser. It's called a 2020 motorcycle run that's going to run through Sykesville, Ellicott City, Reisterstown, and Westminster. It's sort of it's an informal poker run with motorcycles on October 17th, but that's getting a lot of buzz, so that should be fun as well. And Julie is writing grants applications like there's no tomorrow. So we're doing everything we can to keep funds coming in.
Thank you. And thanks, Julie. I know she's on there. Thanks for all you guys, all the efforts you guys have been putting into this stuff. It's much appreciated.
We've been fortunate with grants and fundraisers in lieu of the festivals that we would normally do. So it's been very helpful.
Hey, Leo, did you how was the golf tournament? Was it beyond your expectations fundraising?
Yes. Yep, that went very well. Yes, we were very pleased with the turnout of that as well. Yep.
Did it like make up for the wine festival or anything?
Oh, like nowhere near, but it was good to have people out. It was good to have the mayor there. It was more of a community type of event as opposed to a fundraising event.
Okay.
As more of a break even type of thing. Yeah, it's nothing that's gonna compare with the wine festival or the beer festival.
Awesome. It was good. I'm looking forward to next year's.
Yep.
Yeah, me too. And that was my first time golfing. So Craig will be happy to know I did golf again. So I'm up on my game for next year. But I'm penciling in the poker run for the 17th. So hope the weather permits. So thank you guys so much for I'm Julie and especially in all the crew of being creative, coming up with some quick out of the box ideas on ways to do this stuff. And it's been much appreciated. And I know it's been a challenge to adapt, so it's been pretty cool to see you guys do that. So thank you. Thank you, Leo, for everything you've been doing on that front too. All right, did I forget anybody?
No, but my Steeler game is probably at halftime now. Are we done?
It's halftime.
I got the score right here.
No, stop it.
All right, well, with all that, I think we're good to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Stacey, you only get one vote.
Okay, aye.
Yeah, all right. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for your patience this evening, waiting for me. So I appreciate it.
Good night, you guys.
No problem.
It's nothing.
Good luck, Stacey.
There was legitimate panic on Stacy's face when she thought somebody was going to say the score.
Yeah, right. Don't ruin it.
We're winning.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. See you later.
See y'all.
Good night, everyone.
All right, take care. Thank you guys.